All right, welcome in. Bettor's Last Stand. Look, I got company today. Chris and Coach are back. Jarrett behind the windscreen. He's producing the show today. His job is out of commission again this afternoon. So anyway, it's good to have you guys back. It's been a few weeks, but, you know, football brings out everybody, and these guys got their bocce game out of the way last night, and they join us here today to give you some winners as we head towards the college and pro football seasons and the high school football season, which is right around the corner. Pro football in full swing beginning tomorrow, which will be yesterday when you hear the show, as a full slate of preseason games are on the docket, taking you up to basically football is going to be in your mind until the middle of February. So here we go. It's Bettor's Last Stand. We didn't have our best week last week, but that's all right. We're ready to go. We're focused on football. Last year, if you followed the show, we were 26. That was 20 wins, 6 losses, and 1 push in our season-long bets. The coach, myself, and Luke gave out last year, which is pretty damn good, if I may say so myself. We're going to hope to follow that up again. The pressure will be on Chris now to give a few winners out today. But we're glad to have you guys here, Coach and Chris. Welcome back. It's been a while, but how's everything going? Did you guys win in bocce last night? That's the first question.
I'll let Chris answer that.
Well, they won in spite of our effort.
We won in spite of our effort.
Right, we won. But
what, you didn't play your best, Chris? Is that what happened?
No, Mark and I didn't do well, but Marcus and Nate really played well. And at one point, I think it was in the second game, he and I we shoot from the same end, and he looked down. We had thrown our 4 balls, and none of them were 5 feet within the Pauline. And he's ready to blow a gasket
over the bocce or what?
Well, I just
he gets so pissed off at himself.
Well, I know I'm better than that, and some days I don't know. I just don't feel. But our 2 partners were incredible. Probably the 2 best performances I've seen.
They were,
and so we move our record to 5-3. Probably close within a couple games of first place, but it's a fun time. But glad to be back and football in the air, and it's incredible to me that it's here already. I keep telling on the radio. I keep saying I cannot believe that we're a week from tomorrow. High school football opens up, and actually, let's see, from this Saturday, I think it's 3 weeks. I think 3 weeks till week 0. No,
yeah. Well, probably a little bit less.
Well, 3 weeks. What would be the date? That'll be
maybe the 2nd.
Yeah, maybe. Well, week 0 is the last week in August.
Well, then that's the 26th, so that'll be
2 weeks. 2 weeks from this Saturday, and 3 weeks, week 1. So we're in it now. It's time. Hopefully before the season or the weather gets bad again and the season gets we get our outdoor equipment and can move back up under the pine trees in our where we originated the show.
Yes. Well, it would be nice if we can do that. Definitely in our plans. We got a lot going on. If you haven't kept up with the Pine Room, be sure and follow us on social media at the Pine Room Studios, BLS_PRP, or Twitter for this show.
You better put running shoes on.
It never stops. We got something happening every day. Our calendar is completely full of stuff, but that's not what you're concerned about here when you're listening to this show, so we won't waste any more time. But be sure and check us out on the radio, as we're on 7 hours a week. We're moving to Fridays. Actually, today, if you're listening to this, will be our last Thursday show until the end of football season. So we moved to Fridays. We're going to be outside most of the time at some of the Gumby's locations around the Ohio Valley area. So we'll keep you apprised of when we will be where. I know we don't even know that ourselves yet, so we'll find that out, get you that information. If you're interested in high school sports and high school football, be sure and tune in to us, especially on Fridays, as we'll have comprehensive rundowns and lines and all kinds of things. We're going to have a guest pick'em contest. Our guys are going to compete. We got some of the personalities that call the games on WKKX also and WVLY. They're going to participate as well. So we're going to iron out all the details of those, and we'll post all that on social media. So if you want to get involved, if you're interested in high school, please feel free to participate as we get it's like Coach said, it's hard to believe we're about a week away from Ohio opening up their schedule. So, all right, PRP picks last week wasn't our best week, as I said. We were down 3 units. It was not pretty. Sam was in the plus money in IndyCar. He just missed the top 10 with Gibbs in the NASCAR Cup Series, but I was awful in golf again. I've been absolutely atrocious in golf. I had Lucas Glover 2 weeks prior, back-to-back weeks. He doesn't win. Then he wins when I don't use him. That's my own fault. You should, whenever you're playing on a guy multiple weeks in a row, you should just keep playing him, because if he wins, he's going to piss you off, and that's what it did for me. World Cup winner though was Sweden. Did pretty well there, 5-2 on the week in the World Cup. We got a couple of future tickets alive too with the Netherlands, England, and Japan. So we're hopeful to continue the good performances in the women's soccer as we head down to the final 8 here, which will be beginning Thursday evening at 9 o'clock Eastern time. So you'll have probably seen the first match yesterday, and we have a full weekend of soccer, so we'll be down to the very end there. You can follow the soccer plays on the Twitter page, BLS_PRP, and at the Pine Room Studios. Premier League also starts this week. I'm not going to give out any winners for that because it'd be hard to be able to beat Manchester City. So anyway, if you want picks from things like that, more obscure stuff, we're not going to talk Big 3 CFL or any of those other weird things that most people probably don't know anything about. We're going to skip right to the meat of the action here today. And, Chris is really excited. But, Chris, before we get into a little rundown of college football we're going to talk about here in the first segment, and MLB, I want to first get your opinion on the Penguins, who made a nice acquisition and got Erik Karlsson last week, and it definitely makes them a contender in the Metropolitan Division, and maybe a contender to make a little bit more of a run than they have in the playoffs, where they haven't won a series since 2018. What are your thoughts on that one?
I think it's a great pick. I mean, that had been in the works for quite a long time, and I didn't think they gave up quite as much as I thought they would have had to get him. Right. I mean, they gave up a first rounder, which is top 10 protected, I think a second rounder, and got rid of the guys on bad contracts. Guys
wasting money on their books.
It pretty much got rid of all of Ron Hextall's terrible moves. But I mean, Karlsson,
except for Jeff Carter.
Yes, but Karlsson is just a dynamic offensive defenseman, and he's a puck mover and gets it out of the zone. So
defending Norris Trophy winner.
And so finally, it's been quite a while, well, maybe since they got Phil Kessel, that there's been that much excitement in the offseason. So I thought he did a fantastic job to get him, and he'll definitely, if nothing else, they got to improve that power play. And I think with him being a quarterback, he'll do that. So
yeah, and the Penguins right now, the fourth choice still to win the Metropolitan, even with Karlsson, about 6.5 to 1. I don't think that's a terrible bet.
How much did that change?
Went down. They went down a little bit. They were about $7.50. It's about $7, and now they went down a little bit. I don't know. I'm a little surprised by that. I think people are still very high on Carolina, the Devils, and the Rangers being so young, and the Penguins. It's going to be down to goaltending, if you ask me. And then their bottom 6.
And I mean, you could say this with every team, but it's just you just wonder because the Penguins last year were so healthy,
right?
And can they continue that again? Crosby just turned 36, Malkin's 37, Karlsson's 33, but whatever, we'll see how that works out. But if you get
those ages don't mean anything anymore in sports. Well, they really mean less and less. It's amazing.
But they'll still perform at a high level. But
yeah.
But if you get those guys healthy for basically an entire season, I think they got a shot to make some noise.
Yep, I agree. All right, we'll talk plenty more hockey on Bettor's Last Stand as we approach the NHL training camps and the regular season. But let's shift over to baseball here before we jump into football. So we're going to go through. We're going to give you some previews today of the AFC and the NFC South. We're going to do that in the second segment of the show, and we're going to talk later in this segment about the ACC and the SEC. We're going to give you some of our best bets, some favorite win totals in the conference, and just kind of go down through the teams, see who maybe we like and who we don't like, and then we're going to do the same thing in the NFL in segment 2. And then Sam will join us in segment 3 as usual. Going to get his thoughts on those divisions and conferences we're covering, and we're going to talk some racing as usual with Sam. All right, let's go to baseball. The Pirates, they fall to the Braves last night. We'll see how that series turns out. Coach, I mean, nobody can possibly believe that the Pirates have a chance of staying in wild card contention, can they? I mean, that's an absurd premise, isn't it?
No, I don't think so. I will say this about the Pirates, though, as we are talking. I don't know what they're going to be in the against the Braves. They split the first two. Could have easily gone up 2-0 on the Braves.
Right.
And I do like, and Jarrett's obviously a huge Pirates fan. I do like some of the young guys. I think there's some potential there. There's still some holes there. I'm still not sold on Ke'Bryan Hayes at third. I know Chris doesn't like him.
No.
I know Jarrett doesn't like him. I'm not sold on him, even though he had a big 3-run homer on Tuesday. I'm not sold on him, but there's a little leaky oil in their pitching right now.
Yes.
I think Mitch Keller has come out of the All-Star break and has not been.
He hasn't won a game, has he?
No, he's 0. Well, he's not. He's 0-3.
He had 9 wins.
He was 0-3, and now he's 0-3 and no decision.
And he's been getting hit pretty.
Yeah,
good.
he's been getting hit pretty hard, and now Bednar's sort of. He's sort of shown some chinks in his armor. So, no, back to that question. No, Matt, I don't think, even though that division is really, really bad, still, and the National League in general is not near as good as the American League.
Right.
I don't think that the Pirates will hang around. I believe at this point, while we're speaking, they're, 9.5 back, Jared, in the wild card?
No, 8.5 now.
8.5
It was
back.
7.5. It could have been 6.5, I believe. No, they might still be 7.5. I'll look on that.
But I mean, they're battling the Braves. I think the Braves hit a little.
Do you think the Pirates have been playing up to competition? It seems like a little
yes,
bit.
and I think they've done that throughout the year, and they play down to their competition.
I agree,
and that's why I don't think
they're actually still 7.5 out,
7.5
which is amazing. They could have been 6.5.
Now, as we speak, the game tonight will already be over, and my prediction is, as you guys we talked before the show, I think they'll get it handed to them tonight. The Braves after that. That's a devastating loss. That's a tough loss. You know, you have the best team in baseball on the ropes in the 9th inning with arguably the best closer in baseball to go up 2-0 on them and then to lose it like that. I think they'll have a hard time recovering. I think the Braves will win the last two. I think the Braves will take 3 or 4 now. And then do the
Reds come to town? Yeah.
Oh, then the Reds come to town. Then they must go on a long road trip because they've been in town for a while. But no, back to that. I do not. I just hope they can get over that 68.5 wins, which
that's the only number that matters.
Well,
right?
that's the only number that matters, and that one sort of hurt last night. But I bet against him, and I need the Braves to win tonight really bad because I bet the Braves in the series, and tonight is the deciding game.
How
of the
many
series.
games do they have left? Like 40 some?
They're 51 and 62.
So that's 112. So 50.
Yeah, 50
And
games.
you need what? 17 wins.
17. So if they can't win 17, I will definitely not be a Pirates.
Next week they go on the road to the Mets and the Twins.
Well, I mean those are winnable games, but
definitely winnable games.
Yeah, and the Pirates are really a weird team, Matt. We talked on the we talked on the show on Thursday, or I'm sorry, on Tuesday, and we said it wouldn't surprise us if they beat Strider. And it wouldn't just that they're a weird team. And I'll tell you, Strider did not look good. He did not look good. He
may be hitting the wall a little bit.
He did not look good. But no, I don't think the Pirates will hang. And what
are your thoughts on that division overall? I mean, it's
I
really.
Still think the Cubs are going to.
I agree. Right now, Cubs are plus 150 to win the division. Coach and I have been giving them out since way back in the spring when they were like 9 and 10 and 12 to 1.
You knew they were going to get hot,
and they went in the tank. It looked like they were going to sell. And then they have a miraculous series sweep right before the All-Star break, or right before the trade deadline, and they changed their course, and now they may win it. I don't like the way the Reds are playing right now. I like the team, but they're sputtering.
They lost 5 of 6.
Yes, they're not. They have definitely hit that wall that you see a lot of young guys do. And then the Brewers just don't impress me at all. They're pitching. I keep waiting for them, and they got Woodruff back, and it'll take a while for him to get settled in, but. I just don't think the Brewers hit well enough, and I don't think they're a great team outside of Miller Park. So, I'm agreeing, Coach. Chris, what do you think? Do you think the Cubs have a shot, or are you still on the Reds or the Brewers?
No, I think it's just a 2-team race here, and And I was impressed with your guys' conviction on the Cubs because you guys had talked about that and even when they were struggling, like, you guys are full of crap.
And I don't even like the Cubs in any way, shape, or form.
They're a game and a half out.
Yeah.
And so I'd probably just go with the Cubs on that. I think the Reds are, they're a year or two away.
Yep.
And like you said, but the Brewers, they don't impress me.
The Reds have lost 8 of their last 10.
Yeah. Who is your guys? Give me one sleeper pick. Don't give me. I don't want the Dodgers. I don't want the Braves. I don't want the Giants. Well, yeah, you give me the Giants. Giants could be sneaky.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't want Tampa. Give me
my
one sleeper.
The Marlins.
That's who I was going to say.
Marlins.
I
love them.
I am against the Marlins. I just don't think they hit, and their bullpen to me stinks. What are they? They're playing right. Are they won today?
They beat the Reds.
But that was like a battle of struggling teams. You got to beware this time of year because everybody thought the Yankees were back when they beat the Mets or somebody 2 out of 3. You got to remember who the teams are playing. When you're shit and you're playing shit, then don't get excited about your wins because these other teams have completely mailed it in. If you're beating the Mets right now and you're excited about it, then you got a problem. And that's what worries me about the Marlins. They've struggled a little bit out of the break. I mean, I wish they just had one more big bat. You see Josh Bell, that pig, he strikes out every time he's up almost. I mean,
he had a big home run today.
Did he really?
Yeah, for the Marlins.
Oh, I didn't see. I saw his first at bat.
Jared,
Champ could have hit.
I'm
better
with
than
you,
him.
Jared. I'm
really.
Yeah, that's my sleeper team.
Okay.
To make a little bit of a play down the stretch.
I'm also worried about Sandy being so subpar this year.
Yeah,
too,
well, he's going to turn it on.
Yeah, he had a bounce back the other day.
Yeah, Chris, you're
Toronto Blue Jays.
Boy, that's.
I like that pick.
Yeah, I mean that is a pick that I would put. I would put that I wouldn't put that so much as a sleeper. Even though they're
$12 to win the division, Chris. That's a pretty good.
They're
pick.
really in it. They're in an unbelievably difficult division.
Is there two wild cards in each league, or how was it?
3.
Okay. Well, I was just going by the American League, but I mean, my God,
I like Toronto too.
That Central's just pathetic.
That's pathetic, but the East is brutal.
Right. Well, exactly. I mean, and Toronto's third in that division, but
the Yankees are 4.5 out of a wild card right now, so they may not make the playoffs. The Yankees may not make the playoffs.
Boston last place, and
I would say
3 games over 5.
I would say the Yankees to miss the playoffs is a very good bet. I think I gave that out a while ago. Right now they're minus 470 to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, Chris,
I wouldn't recommend that now.
All 5 teams in the East in the American League are over 500, and only one team in the Central's over 500. 4 of the 5 are under.
I mean, Boston's in last place, and they'd be in second place in the AL Central, probably 1 game out.
Matt, who you have a sleeper pick?
Well, I kind of liked Chris's Toronto, but I guess I can't classify them as a sleeper. And I mean, I would right now out of those teams. I mean, it would be between the Giants and the Mariners to me. As teams that maybe could play playoff style baseball well enough that they could maybe steal a series from somebody. But I also would not discount the Padres. I know that they're just. I think their biggest problem right now is Bob Melvin is such a bad manager. He messes things up on a nightly basis.
I was just going to ask you, would you guys say they were probably the most
Second,
most disappointing.
Second, Mets
number 1.
Yeah, I mean Verlander and Scherzer. You bring those guys in, and you can't. You mean they both? I mean they're liable to meet in the ALCS now on different teams.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like the Giants. I like the Mariners. I think both of them could be contenders that maybe just maybe. Honestly, like I said, the Padres I wouldn't be surprised. And I was thinking the Red Sox maybe, but I just don't think they're pitching. I think they're going to be all in for Ohtani, and they'll be fine if they miss this year. So, Jarrett, what do you think? You said the Marlins, right?
Yes, I do. I like the Marlins. I do like the Mariners a little bit. They've
been playing well.
Hanging around. You don't really hear much about them being all on the West Coast, but I think they could be pretty good. They're obviously they're good with Julio. He's a guy that's going to carry them through the whole year. But I could see them making a little noise. Good pitching.
How about
pretty good lineup?
How about teams you guys think are just absolutely done and we should fade?
Yankees for sure.
Yes.
I'm definitely worried about the Reds.
Yeah,
I'm going to be interested to see what that 3 games or no, Is that a 3-game series with
3 games?
Yeah, 3
yeah,
game.
Friday,
yeah,
Saturday,
yeah.
Sunday.
I'll be interested to see what they do against the Pirates because I think you can see that they're running out of gas. They were, the De La Cruz, call up was huge, got everybody excited. He was incredible, and then some of their other rookies and their pitching was really good during that stretch, and that's sort of faltered on them a little bit. So I look for them. I don't think they'll make a run. I think they're going to play maybe 500 the rest of the year, if even that.
I agree. Fade teams for me: Mets.
Oh yeah,
D-backs, Angels. Angels, what a disaster.
And I was high on the Diamondbacks, but they've
hit the wall. They're just not ready yet.
2-8 in their last 10.
Let's see. I know everybody's against me on the Rays, but I just don't see anything out of them. Again, they're beating the Cardinals down home, and they're patting themselves on the back.
You faded the Rays all
I
year.
think, honestly, they could fall apart so badly they could miss the playoffs, but they got to get some teams to put a little heat on them. Once they come out of the trop, they're just so vulnerable. And then, I don't want to hate on the Marlins because I actually like them as a team, but they worry me a great deal. But I agree with Jarrett, though. The Yankees right now, the Angels, the Mets, these are teams that I just don't think you can back in any way. What do you guys think about the Phillies? I'm getting mixed reviews.
Up and down.
Yeah.
1 week I think they're going to make a run. Next week they look terrible.
Right.
I just think they're okay.
Well, I was going to on the fade. The Indians are done.
You think?
Yeah.
I actually think that the Twins are so bad. Now, I could see the Pirates going and sweeping Minnesota and Minnesota.
Well, the reason I say,
and I think then that brings the Cleveland right back into it.
it does.
They made some.
But they suck. I agree.
Some questionable deadline deals, and I think it upset the chemistry. I think a lot of those players were pissed off because wherever they were when they made those trades, they were on the road. And I think that the GM and another high-ranking executive went down to meet the team and talk to them and try to explain what they did. And then shortly after that, they got in a big fight, with the Ramirez thing. And then, did you see the picture? Then the next day he's got boxing gloves.
Yeah,
on.
I did see that.
It's like that's kind of.
I did see that.
I think that was an old picture. I think.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, that was an old picture.
See, social media
Yeah, I
gets
think
the
it
guy
was
in
an old
trouble
one.
again.
Okay, well, regardless, but
You think they're done, huh?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Plus 525 to win the division. I know they're what are they out, like 4.5?
4.5.
Yeah.
I just don't think they have enough. And they've always struggled to hit. They never.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't like them. Whoever gets in from that division, whoever plays them in the first round is like a bye.
Yeah.
Right?
But I don't know.
So the wild card team that has to play that Central Division is going to be a huge advantage. So that'll be the number one. Jarrett, will that be the number one wild card then in the American League?
What's that?
Who will have to play the AL Central
Well,
the first?
Yeah. So whoever would win the wild card would
top wild card team would play them.
Yes.
So
Right now
most likely that would be someone from the AL East.
Right now that would be Tampa. Yeah.
Ooh, Tampa and Cleveland, man. I would not, or Tampa versus Cleveland to me would be interesting.
We watched a game at Deposit.
because that Cleveland would give them trouble because Cleveland would host that game. That would be at them, and Minnesota, Tampa will beat. But yeah, that's it. That'll be about matchups. I think that'll be and McClanahan down now.
Or no, excuse me. It would be. I believe the division winner in the Central would play the last wild card team. Right.
Then it probably would be that
it would
way.
be the last. It would be the last.
So who would
team.
be? So that could be.
Why?
That probably would be
because they wouldn't because the division winner wouldn't play the
they'd
top
make
wild card. It would be the 1 and 2 wild
whoever
card
it is
plays.
going to have a better record than them.
Yeah, the third wild card team will play the
you're
worst,
right.
the worst division winner.
That's what it would be. You're right.
Yeah.
So it would be like
Toronto.
Tampa would play. Who's the
Tampa would
Astros
play
probably?
Astros and
Tampa and the Astros. That won't go well for Tampa. And then it would be Toronto versus the Central.
So
winner.
right now,
yeah.
now it would be Toronto versus if the season ended today, it would be Minnesota against Toronto in the wild card, and then Tampa Bay against Houston.
All right. Well, before we move on to football, do you guys? I asked Coach and Jarrett this on the radio yesterday, Chris, about do you see who are your legitimate contenders to win the World Series? Like how many teams? 5, 6? I think Jarrett had 6.
Yeah,
I had
6.
5. Coach had about 5 or
5.
6.
Probably about that. I mean, I think you got 2 in the East, Baltimore and Tampa. The Central, no. I'd probably go with that. Probably about
Chris,
5
look
or
out
6
for your
because
Blue Jays, all right?
Yeah.
Blue Jays are dangerous. I wouldn't want to play
Yeah.
them in a series. I could tell you that. All right. Well, that'll do for the MLB talk. We got lots lots more MLB around the corner. It's going to be a fun time of year as we get close to football. That also means baseball playoffs are coming, which is a really fun thing. It gets games going all day.
We're not this far away when all the sports are going to be going on.
Best time of the year.
Yeah, a few months away.
Yes.
Yeah, but all right, let's jump into college football. That's probably why you're here. Chris's favorite thing. Today's previews, we're going to talk the ACC and the SEC. We come right out of the gate swinging here with, well, I guess not the ACC, but the SEC, highly regarded as maybe the best league. Actually, probably just is hands down, although the Big Ten will cry and say they're better, but they're not. All right, so we have Clemson right now is the favorite to win the ACC. And you got Florida State at plus 190. Clemson about 175 to win that conference. So it's a two-horse race as far as the odds makers have given it. Clemson and Florida State. Coach, who if you have, are you on both of those teams?
Florida State. I like Florida State.
So you like FSU to win?
I think that's going to be the team to beat in the ACC, and I think it's going to be one of the teams to beat in the country.
Does their schedule concern you at all? Because I found it to be a little tricky.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're going
to
be favored in every game except the first game, and LSU is going to be. I think they're going to be very good. That's going to be a dandy game. That is going to be played. Where is that game?
That game's a neutral site.
Yeah,
I think it's in Atlanta or one of those places.
Okay,
New Orleans, Atlanta, somewhere down in the South.
That's probably going to be almost a pick'em game, I would think.
Yes, I would say. I think there is an early line on it. But what about their game when they go to Clemson? Do you see them being able to beat Clemson on the road, or is that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I think they can beat Clemson on the road. I think that'll be a great matchup. But I'm liking Florida, so especially if they would be having to catch more than a field goal, definitely would like that. So.
Florida State's win total right now posted at 10. Chris, do you have any thoughts on the Seminoles? They're obviously one of the top two teams in that league. I don't see anybody having any other thoughts than that.
No.
That's a definitive.
I just know
definitive
they're,
no.
They've definitely gotten better over the past few years, and from what I've read and listened to, that they're going to be a force to be reckoned.
Well, they got Jordan Travis, who's a Heisman candidate. He's pretty good. That first game worries me. I think the Seminoles lose 3 games probably, maybe. They're going to pretty much breeze through the ACC schedule. I think Clemson game will be a dead heat game. I think LSU may get them the first week, and then Miami game will be very close.
Don't sleep on Pitt.
Okay, if you say so, Chris. No, actually, you're right. That game will be tricky. That's the kind of game Pitt wins. And if Florida State has finally gotten over the demons that they've had to deal with for the last 20 years. They'll win that game, but yeah, you're right. Until they do it, you never know. All right, let's move on to Clemson. They're my pick to win the conference. I think they're going to be very good offensively. I think they can't go anywhere but up as they bring in the quarterback who was sharing time with DJ Uliungalele, who's now transferred out to Oregon State. But I think they're going to be Klubnik is his name. He's going to be pretty good. I think Clemson has a very easy schedule. The only tricky games I think are Florida State and then maybe at Miami, but they always beat our ass, so I'm not worried. Notre Dame will be a tough one too, but they get that game at home, so I think that'll be very close. I like the Tigers to go over their 10. Coach, thoughts on Clemson? Are you a little down on them, or you think they'll be toe-to-toe?
I'm not as high on Clemson as you are.
Okay.
I look at their schedule, and I've looked at that. They got to go to Florida State, as you said, and they have to go to Notre Dame. So those are going to be really tough. And then they also have Tennessee at the end of the year. So the Tennessee is going to be really good. So I actually like Clemson under their total.
Okay.
I like them under their total.
Chris, what are your thoughts on Clemson?
I think they got a chance to run the table. Other than the 2 games I see on here, the Notre Dame and the Florida State game, I don't see them really struggling with anybody.
You don't see them struggling with Tennessee? You don't think Tennessee will give them anything?
Are you sure they play Tennessee? I don't have Tennessee
on
there. I got Notre Dame as a home.
I'm sorry. That was last year.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
And then they host Notre Dame.
They host Notre Dame, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And but they go to South Carolina. They're at South Carolina, which is a rivalry game. So you really don't ever know how that's going to turn out. There could be a brawl before the game and could upset things. All right, so let's go through some of these other teams. So the next tier down, North Carolina right now 12-1. Louisville at 13, NC State 22-1, Miami 25-1. Any of those 4 teams stick out to you guys? Anybody on your radar as a potential dark horse that could contend with Florida State or Clemson, or is
you
it
don't
typical?
like Miami? You don't like your
I do like Miami. I'm being objective here. The 7.5 win total for Miami is too low, and that actually, if we're giving out our best bets in this conference, that will be one of my 2 best bets. Is the Miami Hurricanes over 7.5 wins. I think they got a very favorable schedule, and they only really are going to struggle against Clemson and Florida State, and they play their other tough conference games at home. And Texas A&M is at home, which I'm not concerned about them anyway. So yeah, I'll be very high on the Canes, and you guys know I'm not very positive about their program right now. They're going in the right direction. So 7.5 over for me on that one. But does anyone else for you guys? Louisville, Pitt, North Carolina, I guess, or Miami? Any of those next tier teams stand out to you? Chris, you mentioned Pitt. What are your thoughts on Narduzzi and his clown show?
Well, we'll see. That depends on what kind of quarterback play they get with Jerkovic.
What do you think about their game in Week 3 against the Mountaineers?
I would definitely say Pitt's going to win that game. I mean, they're what, a 3-point favorite.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, West Virginia's not very good, but it's a backyard brawl.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
But I mean, there's nothing about WVU that impresses me. So I would take Pitt in that.
Yeah, Coach, thoughts on North Carolina or Louisville? Any insight on those teams?
No, I don't have much of a feel on either one of those teams. I do think North Carolina will be able to score a lot of points. I would probably lean to the over a lot in their games. I think they'll be able to really score points with that offense.
And that quarterback, what's Drake May? Is that his name? I think. But yeah, he's pretty good. I have a pretty good forecast on Louisville. I think they're going to be much improved. They get Jeff Brom comes in to coach them. I think that their first 5-6 games, I could see them starting out 6-0 before they take on Notre Dame at home. And if they get Notre Dame at home at 6-0, that'll be a pretty good crowd on hand. Should be a very good environment. And then I don't think they really have a game that they're going to struggle with or be not favored in until they get to Miami and Kentucky to end the season. So that's going to be another one of my top plays in the ACC is going to be Louisville over 7.5 or 8 wins.
Is that coach? Did he play there? Didn't he?
Yeah.
Is that
Jeff Brom? Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thoughts on the Cardinals, Chris or Coach?
No.
Any thoughts on them?
Nothing there.
How about in the bottom feeders? Duke, NC State, Wake Forest, Coach. They take a big decline with Hartman.
That's
going
to be my number one play.
Okay.
Of the ACC is Wake under their win total. They start out. There's a chance they could start out 4-0. They've got a really weak schedule.
I think that Vandy game could be tricky.
Yeah, and Vandy's going to be not very good. Yeah, and then after that, it's just they got to go to Clemson, Virginia Tech, then they got Pitt, Florida State, then go to Duke, NC State, at Notre Dame, at Syracuse. They may not win another game.
Yeah,
so that's going to be my play of the ACC is Wake under their total. What do you have them listed at? Their
6.5.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I really like Wake
too.
under 6.5.
Okay, so that's one of Coach's top plays. I second that. I had them marked as an under. Thought Duke and NC State both probably lean to the unders. Don't love anything on that. You got NC State at 6.5 and Duke also at 6.5. Lean under on both of them. Chris, any thoughts on those Tobacco Road teams, Duke or NC State?
No, there's nothing intriguing.
They don't move the needle?
No, they do not. They do. Although, was that last year that Wake won us some money in that game?
Oh, that game.
Wake Louisville.
Wake Louisville?
Yeah.
Which game, man?
Well,
Was that the one? Was Michael there? Was Michael there?
Yeah, that
game?
idiot.
Was that the one that fucking
exactly.
jerk-offs fumbled coming out of the end zone? Remember that?
Yeah.
But it benefited us.
We were talking about that the other day, man.
That was one of our
yesterday.
That was one of our. It was yesterday.
Michael was there that day,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah, Michael
unbelievable.
Grove in the Pine Room, and we saw a classic.
Yeah,
there.
classic that
Got us over.
All right, let's move.
We
down.
actually wanted to get that DVD
Yeah, I know.
on that
and
show. That would have been incredible.
maybe insulted him, but I don't know if he'd have been able to know the difference. But all right, let's go down towards the bottom feeders here. Syracuse is a team I just can never get right. Well, I thought they'd be better last year. They were absolutely terrible. I don't think they'll be very good this year, so they'll probably win 8 games. Syracuse, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, and Virginia. Kind of the bottom dwellers. Syracuse right now, win total 6.5. Virginia Tech at 5.5. That was one of mine that we cashed last year, was Virginia Tech under. That was a slam dunk. We had that one sealed up with about 3 weeks left. Georgia Tech, 4.5 win total. Boston College at 5.5, and UVA way down at 3.5. Thoughts on the bottom feeders? Syracuse, does anybody have any info on them? Any thoughts on the orange?
Very bad team, and very bad team, and probably I like that game, that total under also.
Yeah.
Don't love it, but
Right.
I'm with you. I have a really difficult time betting Syracuse. They're a really tough team for me to bet.
They are. Some weeks they'll play a 13-6, and the next week it'll be 58-57. I really have struggled with them, and I think when they play at home, it's a throw out everything. Cause
they started out last year 6-0, and they lost.
Right.
They lost 6 out of their last 7.
And I remember they were in a close game against one of the big. They might have been Clemson or somebody, and then they kind of fell apart late, and then they never won again.
Yeah, they lost 27-21 to Clemson,
and they never recovered from that. Chris, how about your thoughts on the Virginia Tech Hokies?
I was just looking at them. I'm going to bet their win total under.
Okay.
Just looking at this schedule. I mean, they're favored in 2 games, and one of them is Virginia. And their opening game is at home against Old Dominion.
I wouldn't surprise me if Old Dominion beat them.
Yeah,
I really wouldn't. Purdue's going to be pretty tough too, so I think that and at Rutgers is a really tough way to start the season.
Mm-hmm.
And then Marshall. I mean, shit, you could be 0-3 and then got to go to Marshall. And I don't really know much about the Herd at this point, but never an easy place to go. Yeah, I think Virginia Tech's schedule is incredibly difficult for their caliber of team. I had only 3 certain wins on their schedule, so it could be a tough season for them. How about Georgia Tech, Coach? They were horrible last year, starting to make a little bit of a transformation with their offense. They started to improve slightly, but do you see any way they can eclipse 4.5 wins this year?
Very, very boring team to watch.
Yes.
Horribly boring to watch. They were. This
is a boring conference. Really,
it is a very boring conference, to be honest with you. It really is. It's just
a lot of bad teams.
And why don't the guys on the TV on Saturday morning when they're talking about? Why can't they give that kind of analysis?
I mean, it would be a breath of fresh air to see that happen.
That's an accurate description.
Yeah.
Yeah, they ain't good, as Chubb would say. But
I mean, you look at their point totals last year: 0, 10, 10, 9, 16, 14, 14.
That's
oh
pathetic.
my God, that's terrible.
It's a grinder every week for them. If they don't play.
So we got to bet the under when we.
They returned 6 starters on offense.
Oh,
I love when people say that that's such a big thing. When if the offense sucked last year, why do I want them back? Move along. I want to return none.
Right.
But that's
Right.
Chris, how about Boston College or Virginia? If you have to make a prognostication about those 2 storied ball clubs.
I mean, I guess I don't want to repeat what Coach said, but I mean,
BC returns 8 on offense.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, right.
I mean, this is dreadful.
Opening up with Northern Illinois and Holy Cross. I mean, that's got to be victories, I would assume.
I mean.
But I don't know. Apparently, the Eagles are going to have an improved offensive line, so that'll be huge. But I don't know. I think the ACC is a really terrible league. They're probably going to be disbanded here before too long if Florida State, Clemson, Miami, and maybe North Carolina all go to the SEC. It seems like that's where it's headed. All right, best bets. You heard 2 of mine. You heard 1 of Coach's. I am going over Louisville. You can get it 7.5 or 8 wins on the season for the Cardinals, and over 7.5 on my Miami Hurricanes. And trust me, that is not a play from the heart. I would tell you if they stink, we faded them a lot last year. But I do think that 7.5 is a touch too low for their win total in such a bad league. So those are my 2 best ones. You heard Coach's, the under 6.5 of the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Coach, anything else stand out to you in the ACC? That's your go-to?
Yep,
okay.
That's
Chris, how about you?
I'm going with the Cavaliers to go under their total.
UVA under for Chris.
Yeah.
All right. Jarrett, you got any thoughts on the beautiful ACC conference?
Not much on the ACC.
They might be a mess in your philosophy of betting every game over. Yeah. That could be a problem for some of these teams.
Maybe Wake Forest under 6.5. I think.
You can't go wrong with that. All right, so let's go from the ACC on to a conference that actually has more than two good teams. The SEC, many people's favorite conference, or many people's most hated conference if you're an Ohio State fan, and you're incredibly jealous of the SEC. But who knows? You could turn the tide on them any day, literally. You got Georgia right now, a -105 favorite to win the SEC, followed by Alabama at 3-1. LSU, many people's dark horse, 5-1 with Brian Kelly. Chris, a big Brian Kelly guy. We got his picture up at the Pine Room currently, although the Doyles have filed protest against
some of the Notre Dame fans want that removed.
Taking that down. We got to get the new Notre Dame coach because we got Nate going to play there.
We got a lot of connections to Notre Dame.
Let's get Notre Dame's new coach Freeman up there. Texas A&M, the fourth choice, 15-1. I have zero confidence in them, but we'll talk more about the Aggies as we get closer or as we go through these teams. Tennessee was Jarrett's team. They had a great year last year. They lose a lot. Can they sustain? We'll see. And then you got some other teams, unknowns. Ole Miss, pretty good offense. Auburn with a new coach. Kentucky underachieved last year. And I think they're going to be improved this year. I'm hoping, because I'm going to be back on them again. And then you get a little bit of a drop-off down to Arkansas, who's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde. Florida, who I think will be awful. South Carolina, Mississippi State. These are all 250-1 or more. And then you got Vandy at 750-1 rounding out as the Commodores looking to be the doormat. Although Pine Room member Savion is given a big 10-star on Vanderbilt over their win total.
I don't know where he came up with that.
Yeah, but didn't
and Nick shot it down immediately.
Well, didn't Luke do that last year?
Yeah, and Luke Doyle did.
Yeah.
He likes it again this year, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, he got that one early. I mean,
Well, there's a chance that they were talking. There's a chance they start out 4-0.
He did. Yeah, he did give that last year with very, very, very the utmost confidence in the Commodores. All right, let's go through the teams. Georgia. I guess, Coach, looking at Georgia's schedule, man, it's really easy. It came up extremely easy. I mean, you have just doormat after doormat to start the season until you get down to at Auburn, which would probably be a pretty easy win. Kentucky at home, and then at Vandy, Florida at a neutral at the cocktail party, which you've been to, Missouri, Ole Miss, at a Tennessee team who might be out of it by then, and Georgia Tech. That is about the easiest schedule for a defending champion as you'll ever see. They escape LSU and Alabama from their schedule. Thoughts on the Bulldogs?
Oh, my, yeah. I mean, they're arguably going to be the best team in the country again, and I'm with you on their schedule. There's going to be a lot of obviously, if you look at the early lines on
there's nothing close
on them,
there's a one game.
Yeah. So they'll be
three touchdown favorites almost.
In
almost all the games.
Every game. Yeah,
nearly every game except for Auburn and Tennessee.
I mean, I can't imagine them not going 12-0.
Right. So their posted win total right now 11.5. I mean, the only thing you could say about Georgia is the new quarterback, but it might not even matter with a schedule like that. I don't think it matters.
Right. I agree. I unless they stumble at Tennessee, maybe I can't see them even being in a close game.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Let's move on. Chris, do you have any thoughts to add on Georgia?
No, it's just embarrassing schedule, but no, their win total definitely they'll get that.
Yeah,
I can't see them losing a game.
How about Alabama? Posted win total 10.5. A lot of question marks about them. Quarterback play's been a little rough. Skill positions has been a little rough. I think they have a tricky part of their schedule where they got to play Tennessee, LSU, Kentucky. Yeah, they played Texas in week 2, which I think we'll probably win, but I don't know. And then at Auburn's never going to be easy. So, yeah, no, I think Alabama's troublesome. Coach, you like the Longhorns in that game in week 2?
I do. I like Texas to cover, and I actually like Texas to win the game outright.
Probably a little revenge factor from last year.
I like Texas to win that game outright, and I like Alabama under their win total. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be bad, and I'm not going to say they're going to win 7.
But under 10.5?
Yes, I do. I can see them stumbling. I mean, you got to go to A&M. That's tricky. At Kentucky, I think that's going to be a test. I mean, Tennessee will be a test. Texas, obviously, I see them losing 2 games.
Okay.
I see them
Yeah.
10-2.
I think their schedule's tough. I mean, Ole Miss is no pushover.
Well, and they don't. I mean, in recent years, did they really? I mean, I don't know who they have at quarterback, but are they going to have that dynamic playmaker compared to when?
They had Bryce Young last year, but
Yes.
I feel like their bigger problem last year was their lack of wide receivers. I didn't think any of their guys were very good, and their running backs weren't that dynamic. So yeah, definite drop off in the skill players for them, but we'll see. Can't ever really count Saban out, but it's going to be tough. I think 10.5 is going to be tough to get over for them. I think they'll even if they win 10. I mean that's not enough to get it over. So I would not recommend that at all, just based on their schedule and the unproven talent that they have. They return 5 on each side of the ball, but I don't know if that really matters or not. All right, let's drop over to LSU. They're getting a lot of love right now. Many people backing them at around 5-6 to 1 to win the conference. Posted win total of 9.5. I think if they beat Florida State, I think they get over their win total, but I'm not sure they'll be able to do that. I like LSU. I think they're going to be very good. I think they're going to be troublesome, and I think they have a part of their schedule where they can rattle off several wins in a row. What say you about the Tigers, Coach?
That huge game, as you said, to whether they're going to get over their win total is LSU or Florida State, because they have to go to Alabama. And they got to go to Mississippi State at Ole Miss. So and that first game is going to be massive to whether they get over their win total or not.
Yep. No, I agree with that. And then their final, after they get by Alabama, I think they have a pretty favorable ending to their schedule if they're intact. Teams could be hurt or beat up by then. They get Auburn and Army at home. Arkansas at home. Yeah, I think it comes down to the Florida State game probably, but I like them. I think they're an up and coming team. Brian Kelly is a good coach, regardless if he's an asshole or not, which he most likely is on most accounts. Chris, thoughts on LSU?
I like their win total over, Matt.
Okay,
I agree with you guys on the schedule. That big game to start up with the Daniels kid at the quarterback position. He's I don't know, he's probably one of the top quarterbacks in the country. So.
Jaden, yeah.
Jaden Daniels. So I like them to go over.
Right.
I'd say they'll be 11-1.
Okay, all right. Let's go to the next tier of teams here. Tennessee at 9.5 wins. I think that's way too high for them. I think they'll take a step back. But let me get your guys' thoughts on these teams. Tennessee at 9.5 wins. Texas A&M at 8. Ole Miss at 7, Kentucky at 7. Those 4 teams. Anybody stick out there? Tennessee, A&M, Ole Miss, or Kentucky as good or bad?
Yes, I like Kentucky a lot over their total of 7.
Okay.
I think
that seems low to me.
I agree. I agree.
If you look at the beginning of their schedule, Ball State, Eastern Kentucky, Akron, at Vandy, Florida. They could easily
could be 5-0.
I think they're undefeated until they go to Georgia.
And go to Georgia. And then they come back with Missouri, so that's another.
And then they get an off week Tennessee at home.
Yep, and then it gets a little tricky. They got to go to Mississippi State, then they got Alabama.
Tough ending.
They go to South Carolina and they go to Louisville. But
if they could scratch one of those wins at the end, then you probably get it.
I really like Kentucky over their total.
I thought they win 7 automatically, and then it comes down to that last 4 weeks. Could they win
Carolina,
1
Louisville.
or 2? Yes.
But I'm playing them. That's going to be my pick of the SEC is Kentucky over their win total.
How about you, Chris? Any Tennessee, A&M, or Ole Miss interesting to you in any way?
I'm going Ole Miss under their win total.
Okay. You're going against Lane Kiffin.
I disagree with that, Chris, but who knows?
Well, you would know better than I would.
I will say with Coach, I agree because I think – or did you said under, Chris?
Yeah.
Chris likes under.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought their schedule was very tough. I will give you that.
And that's what I was looking at. They still have Lane Kiffin, don't they?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd say probably, about halfway through, about 3/4 of the year, they'll be talking about him taking another job and just to be a distraction.
Yeah, that's very possible.
And they end up, they got it, at Georgia, and then they got Monroe, and then they end up at Mississippi State. So I think that's going to go under.
Okay. Coach, you want to refute that? You think Lane Kiffin will have the boys ready to go?
I think Ole Miss is going to be much improved. I think they're going to be much better.
Dangerous.
I think they're going to be much better. And I like the start of their schedule, except when they get to Alabama.
I think their road games are tricky. They got some road problems. Maybe.
Well, and then LSU comes to their place too. But
yeah,
I think they'll beat Auburn on the road. Obviously, Vandy, Texas A&M at home.
Right.
And then UL Monroe stuck in there as the 11th game, and then. I like Ole Miss.
What's that total again?
7.5.
Yeah, I like them. I like them to get 8 wins.
No. I think we have to have a bet.
All right.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
All right.
Yes.
Chris, ready
On
to
the
throw his
reps.
money around already.
That's what I
All
like
right.
to hear.
How about
Toddy.
Chris? How about your thoughts on one of your favorite coaches in football, Jimbo Fisher in Texas A&M?
I just hope the worst for them.
I have no faith in that
He's a-
program.
he's
I think
a-
it's a
he's a
loser
clown.
program.
Well, they had all that. They get a bunch of guys last year, and they had
Top recruiting class every year.
They got the biggest money pool, don't they?
Right. Yes, they do.
They didn't do anything.
Coach, thoughts on A&M?
I'm
Down?
with you guys.
Mediocre?
On yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not high on.
How about
on
Tennessee?
Tennessee? I like Tennessee. I know you guys are.
I just
fading
don't
them a
know
little
about
bit.
what they got coming, like their guy, like what they got back. I mean, they got that Joe Milton, I think.
Looks
but-
like they should score some points. I don't know
yeah,
what their
I just want. I mean, they
defense
were
is
so Tennessee to me last year had one of the best offenses in the whole country, maybe the best. It's just tough to replace Hooker, but
Yeah.
this Milton guy's pretty good. So I mean, I could see at 9.5. I thought that was a touch high, but if they can, they get Virginia, Austin Peay, Florida, and Texas, San Antonio would be a tricky one, but then South Carolina. I think their schedule sets up that maybe they could eclipse that, but they're going to need a few breaks for sure. All right, let's jump down to the next tier teams. The Razorbacks, it's a posted win total of 7, and Auburn at 6.5, and then Florida at 5.5, and Mississippi State at 6.5. And any of those teams of interest, whether good or bad.
Well, in that conference, I'll be honest with you. I like Florida under their total. They have the toughest schedule in the country.
Yep.
The number one toughest schedule in the country. And if you look at their schedule, they are going to get beat up in the middle.
Start right out of the chute.
Yeah, they got to go to Utah.
I mean, a revenge game from last year.
That's trouble for them.
Yeah.
Then they got Tennessee at home. They'll be an underdog in that game. They got to go to Kentucky. They got to go to South Carolina. They got Georgia at a neutral site. Arkansas, they got to go to LSU and play Florida State at the end.
Yeah.
That is brutal.
I agree.
Week after week.
I thought I only saw 3 certain wins on their schedule.
I think they'll be under their total. I really do.
I would agree with that. Chris, any thoughts on the Gators or any of those other teams, Mississippi State or
I'm going to go
Arkansas?
Rebels underneath under their total.
Who?
In
I thought you already gave.
Mississippi State.
Yeah, they're the Bulldogs.
Bulldogs.
You gave Ole Miss Rebels. You gave them
Ole Miss
out already.
Rebels and
The Bulldogs in the Egg Bowl.
Oh yeah.
Were you talking about? You're talking about Mississippi State, right,
Yes.
Chris? Yeah, they're the
Yeah.
Bulldogs.
You're giving them under?
Yes.
All right,
Yeah,
that's my play of the SEC.
I
Under.
gave him the wrong nickname.
That's
No, you're
okay.
good.
That's okay.
No,
Thank you.
That's my top play in the SEC is Mississippi State under 6.5.
Okay.
Oh man, see now I feel better about that pick.
Well, I don't know. I think I'd feel worse.
Well, just me and
usually when
Coach-
me and you align
Yeah, I
on
know,
something,
I
that
know.
usually turns out to be
Well,
ugly.
It's going to be ongoing. Just keep that in mind. Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Coaching me all season at
Yeah,
Pine
good.
the
Ridge.
Rebels. I should have
Good.
worn my Ole Miss shirt.
All right, now about to the bottom feeders. Missouri at 6.5, South Carolina at 6, and then the Commodores at 3.5. Any of those teams going to be better than expected? I mean, Florida's got a brutal schedule. South Carolina's schedule is just about as bad.
It's the number one strength of schedule.
Oh, according to Brad Powers, the
Yeah.
hardest schedule in the
Jesus.
country. So I don't know if I'll put any stock. Oh yeah, there it is. Schedule strength ranked number 1.
What team?
Florida or South Carolina 1, Florida 2, according to Brad Powers.
And in that conference, it's just going to be hard for anybody to find wins.
Yes.
If you're not in the upper tier, it's hard to find wins. It's just a brutal conference to have to play week after week. And I see South Carolina being under their win total.
Yep.
I mean, it's a really tough schedule.
All right, so let's go review the best bets. Mine, Mississippi State under 6.5. I think Chris's was
Yes.
LSU over 9.5, and then Coach, yours was
Kentucky over 7.5.
Kentucky.
Was that my
over.
best bet?
Well, I don't know. Is it your best bet?
I
I
don't
thought
know.
it was, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're on.
That was on Ole Miss.
Oh, your best bet's Ole Miss. Okay. All right, Chris's best
That
bet.
is-
Ole Miss. All right. And Coach's best bet, Kentucky.
Kentucky over 7.5.
Over. Okay.
And then Chris and I have a head-to-head battle on Ole Miss.
What's a big bet? 20?
Four-pack
Ooh.
of
Four-pack of Pine Room
Lager.
Yeah, well, if you haven't got your Pine Room Lager, get it now. We're going to take a break here on Bettor's Last Stand. We're going to come back. We're going to shift over to NFL, everybody's favorite.
There we go.
The National Football League is here. People are excited, and we're going to take you through it and give you some winners in the AFC and NFC South. It's Bettor's Last Stand with Matt, Coach, Chris, and Jarrett. We'll be back after this.
Reminder, Bettor's Last Stand is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activity should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. You're watching Bettor's Last Stand.
All right, welcome back in. Bettor's Last Stand. Matt, Coach, Chris, Jarrett behind the glass, behind the windscreen, whatever you want to call it, out of your picture view right now. He's taking care of things. Well, Jubb is on the disabled list. Hopefully not for too much longer. Real quick before we jump into the NFL, Coach, any thoughts? Have you been playing golf recently? Have you been doing any good?
I've struggled as you have. I had some good feels too, and some guys have let me down. But are we gonna talk a little?
Yeah,
golf
just a
real
little
quick?
bit about the FedEx St. Jude. I don't know if you had any guys that you liked, but
yeah, I do have a couple guys I like.
Okay.
I like I like Hideki Matsuyama to finish in the top 20.
Okay.
I also like Cameron Davis to finish in the top 20. And I like J.J.
Spawny.
Yeah, but he let me down. And my boy, I was really pulling for Justin Thomas to make the cut.
Yeah.
He did that shot that hit the pin and missed just kept him out of it. But he didn't play well. I was hoping he got in, but just didn't do enough all year to get in. So those are three little sleepers that I like. Obviously, your big ones, the big ones are probably going to be right there.
Yeah, Rory McIlroy, Rahm, Scheffler.
Yeah.
They're your top choices right now.
Who are you?
I like Matsuyama as well. I think
Yep.
he's at 37, 38 to 1. I think
Yep.
that's really too high of a price. Thought Xander Schauffele, with a no-cut situation, it brings other guys into play.
Yeah.
To me, no-cut, 70-guy field, top 50 advance on to next week. So I'm going with Matsuyama, Xander Schauffele, Ricky Fowler, Sam Burns, and Terrell Hatton. Those are some guys that I like. But
All right.
Chris, you got anybody? I don't know. Is Minwoo Lee in this?
Minwoo Lee's not in, I'm not betting.
Yeah, I think he is.
I would imagine he would be, but
Minwoo.
maybe he's not. He might not be, but to me, it seemed like he had plenty of FedEx points.
He is not.
Okay. No Minwoo.
So I'm going to pass this week.
Yeah. Chris passes a hard pass.
You fade Minwoo like I fade.
Kurt Busch. No.
Well, no,
in
Bubba.
the old days, Bubba
I
Wallace.
fade Bubba.
Yeah.
Where did he end up finishing?
Like 19th.
Yeah.
He was at running second. At
He
he's
runs
doing well,
up there
though.
a lot, and then he usually runs into trouble or has a bad pit stop.
He always, I feel like, is in the race like towards the end, and then he just fades.
Yeah, and then
I
blames
It's
it
funny,
on somebody
and a lot
else.
of times, since we're at the Vets on Sunday, be halfway through the race, and like you'll see in the leaderboard, he's in the top 10, top 5, and
Always.
everybody pitches like, God damn it, and that's great to see him. Was he in a crash or anything, or just
No,
didn't-
just
good?
yeah.
Yeah, just didn't run great. All right, real quick before we jump into this NFL too, though, I want to talk about ESPN's now partnering with Penn Entertainment, the parent company of Barstool Sports, as they are going to be diving into sports betting. This is an interesting mix here. ESPN will reportedly rebrand the Barstool Sportsbook as its own ESPN bet. I'm sure Chris is going to sign up for this immediately. Found it very intriguing. Barstool and ESPN just don't seem to mesh to me at all.
Right.
It's a weird situation here. I'm sure that the Barstool people have got to be a little bit concerned. ESPN is very politically correct. Barstool was very not politically correct. They already had issues earlier having to fire some guys for things they said. Penn Entertainment forced them to. ESPN's only going to make it worse. I'm not sure how much control they're going to have over any of the Barstool elements of it, but I wouldn't be too excited if I was Dave Portnoy right now. But we'll see how that develops.
Portnoy actually bought it. He bought Barstool back.
Well, he did, but then now they sell the rights though to ESPN? Is that not how it works?
I don't.
I thought Penn
think
National
so,
gave. I thought Penn National just gave him back the control, and then they sold the right. They still own all.
You
of
might
it.
be right.
He
then,
may
yeah.
have part. I mean, they still own. So he's not, and they have like a non-compete. So Barstool is completely going to be out of the sports betting sector, which is their top advertising revenue. So they're completely eliminated. So to me, I think
that's interesting.
A misread by him. He should probably never sold the Penn National to begin with, but. We'll keep an eye on that. Should be interesting. NFL is asking for assistance from Congress on the illicit sports betting issues that are going on right now. Seems like NFL is looking to blame somebody other than themselves for their players not knowing the rules, and they're trying to blame illegal bookmakers. That's not what's going on here. These guys are betting with regulated, providers, and they're getting caught and they're breaking the rules that their league has put forth. So NFL should do a little better job of educating their people. You guys got any thoughts on that stuff?
Man, what was in the rule is in the NFL, you can't make a bet. I know you can't bet on the sport, on their own sport, but why can you not place a bet from a team facility? Say you want to bet a soccer match.
It just must be. They just must say they don't bring betting into the workplace. There's a lot of
so they could just walk out into the street like.
Yeah, I mean, there's play. I mean, believe it or not, there's companies out there that say you're not allowed to do that on company Wi-Fi or whatever. I mean, I don't think it's okay. I mean, I think it's stupid, but
I just wonder if these people are this naive to not think that this wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why you have it regulated. This isn't like betting's just brand new though. Like this stuff's been going on forever. So who knows what we don't know about? Who knows how many games were fixed because there wasn't regulation? Mm-hmm. So yeah, Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz, second biggest bet fight ever at DraftKings Sportsbook, only second to Gervonta Davis versus Garcia, which was earlier this year. Also pretty interesting. Boxing sucks nowadays, but Jake Paul continues to rake in the money. Jarrett, did you watch that fight or did you see anything?
I saw a little bit on it. It looked like a horrible fight. Nate Diaz was there just for the money.
Yeah, exactly. Who can blame him, right?
Yeah.
86% of DK Sportsbooks was on the U.S. women to win the World Cup, and they did not. So DK is probably pretty happy. Most sportsbooks would have won on that. So pretty good day for the books across the world as the United States goes out. And then the state of Iowa found no evidence that Iowa or Iowa State games were fixed in any way, despite serious integrity issues involving multiple players. And I remember these games up at the Pine Room where we were screaming and bitching about Iowa State, and we thought they were cheating, and they thought that they were like trying to cover the spread or not cover. It was weird.
I remember that long pass they threw against the Mountaineers.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, and it put the game over, I believe, right?
Yeah.
That game you talking about last year?
I think that was
one. I think the one you might be thinking of was the one TCU. Didn't they throw one late to cover?
Yeah,
to put it over.
I know last year I had a game over that won me a ton of money.
I had it under.
I think the Iowa State that I remember what we were all mad about, it seemed like they were cheating, was like 2 years ago, I think. Which would have been when Brock Purdy was there.
We were screaming. We were screaming. We were really
it was
pissed.
Probably against Kansas, so everybody was pissed about that. Yeah. But yeah, no, there was definitely some improprieties there, if you ask me. And Iowa regulators were glad to find that there wasn't, at least they could find any evidence. So I don't know. We shall see. All right. If you have any interest in World Cup or AFL this week, I'll be putting all my picks on Twitter, BLS_PRP, and at the Pine Room Studios. I'm not going to tie up our time talking about that here, but AFL is winding down and World Cup is in the quarterfinals. All right, let's go. Chris, you've been waiting for this all week. AFC South preview. This division, it's hard to get too excited about this division. Last year, the Jaguars gave some people a pretty Coach, I believe you cashed a win total bet on the Jags. That was one of your top selections.
Well,
I did.
Are you coming back with them this year?
I am.
Okay, Chris, what were you going to say? Go ahead.
Well, no, you mentioned about how bad this division was. They were combined 23, 43, and 2 last year. I mean, it was just dreadful. So I think that the teams, some of these teams will be a little bit more improved. Although I think the Colts are not going to get any better.
No, I agree with that. All right, Jacksonville, minus 170 favorites to win the AFC South, followed by the Titans at plus 385, the Colts at plus 550, and then my team, the team that I think is going to be the most improved in the NFL this year, the Houston Texans at plus 750. All right, let's go through the teams. Let's start with the Texans. I have two of my best bets for this division. I love the Texans over their win total of 6 or 6.5 if you can find it. I actually gave this out on Bettor's Last Stand several weeks ago when it was 5.5. So it's went up a lot. There's been some steam. D'Amico Ryans takes over the team. Love John Mechie. Despite my dislike of Ohio State, I think C.J. Stroud's going to be pretty good here in this system. I love his pass yards over. I think he's going to lead all rookies in passing yards as well. So those are going to be some of my favorite best bets. John Mechie over 1,000 yards receiving too at 10-1. I think is a really good bet. Coach Chris, thoughts on the Houston Texans?
Well, I have them finishing third in that division. They'll be improved, but I have them winning 6 games. So they're going to stay under their.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, that'd still be an improvement, 3 wins. But
plus 230 to finish third in the division.
And we'll see. I think Stroud's going to be pretty good, although they don't have any really proven receivers.
No.
I mean, it's not a very good receiver.
Well, I think John Mechie's going to be outstanding.
Where'd they get him from?
Alabama.
Okay.
Remember he got hurt and he was sick. He had like lymphoma or something.
Okay. No, but they're going to be better. I think that coach they've had some issues down with that whole.
They played hard last year too for shitty Lovie Smith. Dude, Coach, what are your thoughts on the Texans?
I like your play. I'm not as strong on it as you are, but I do like them in a pretty equal division. There's a lot of parity in that division, and I like your win total.
Okay.
I do. I like it over.
All right, let's move on to the Colts. Team I'm not very high on. When I went through their 6.5 as their posted win total right now, I'm trying to find one where I can find Anthony Richardson to lead all rookie quarterbacks in interceptions. I'll be very or even a middle number on interceptions for him. So if you see that anywhere, get a hold of us. Either call the radio show or contact at thepineroompodcast.com. I obviously like this team under 6.5 wins. I thought between 3 and 6 wins was the best they could do. Coach, thoughts on the Colts?
Same, Colts under their win total.
Okay.
Yep.
Chris?
Same. I have them winning 4 games.
Okay, that's about where I'm in. Yep.
And
I don't trust this coach either.
Well, they said
Shane
he's kind of like a quarterback guru. They said he was an offensive coordinator and he coached
Jalen Hurts and had one
and
good
Herbert
year
from San Diego or wherever.
I don't know if I'd be writing any letters about that.
But anyway, I don't foresee this team to be any good at all.
Yeah.
So.
All right, and then the Jags, the defending champs of the division. They probably could have beat the Chiefs last year in the playoffs.
Yes.
Probably should have. They finally look like they kind of got their footing under them late in the year. Posted win total of 9.5. I think if they stay healthy, their offense is extremely talented. They got a really, really good group of core, skilled players. I mean, I don't see how you lean anywhere but the over here for their win total.
That's going to be my play of the AFC
Coach's
South.
best bet.
The Jags over their total again.
Plus, they added Calvin Ridley.
Yes,
he's a stud.
Yes, and that is my second play of actually my third of this division. There's a lot of things I liked in this division. I love Calvin Ridley over 900 yards receiving too. So. And probably worth a look at over 5.5 touchdowns, I think, or both of those are very strong. And then we wind up with the Titans. Mike Vrabel and the boys, I was way down on them last year, and they came through for me. I think they only won 9. I think they were under 9.5, so it was a winner. And I'll be leaning towards the 7.5 of the posted win total. Might be a touch low, but I could lean to the under. I don't love anything here, Coach. What do you say about the Titans?
Same way, but I would play it under.
Okay. Chris?
This team is very boring with Tannehill, and I don't know how much tread that Derrick Henry has on the tires. But I still have them going over. I think they're going to win 8 games.
Oh, wow.
Is it 7.5 or 7?
7.5. 7.5. Yeah.
I have them going over.
How about your all right, Coach? So your best bet was the Jags again.
Jags over the total.
Jags over, and Chris, your best bet was also Jags over.
Yes.
Okay.
What do we do?
Keep it pretty simple.
How do we do on the other ones compared? Do you guys have the Colts under? Colts
I would
under?
lean Colts under.
You guys went Texas over.
Yeah, we went Texans over, and I went Jags over and Titans under.
Okay. All right. I have
Yeah.
two different
Titans are
ones.
going to be tough though. That's going to be like right. I mean,
Oh,
tough,
yeah.
tough in the sense of I think the number is probably pretty fair. Last year was a little bit too high. This year, I think it's probably spotted in a correct spot. Jarrett, what do you think about this wonderful AFC South? Any thoughts?
Go Jags.
All right. Yeah, you got to reform.
I like
for
the
St.
Jags. They're going to be good. I think.
Oh,
I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have a
They're
really,
as
really,
talented
really
as
good
a
year.
team, by far the most talented team
Yes.
in that division. I don't think it's even close. But
That's the worst part about Jubb not being here, getting his tape.
I know.
I
He
know.
loves it.
I know. He knows his stuff, and I
Yeah.
think.
He's passionate.
Yes, I think
Very.
Hopkins is going to have a terrible year.
Who?
DeAndre Hopkins. Didn't he sign with the Texans? Or not
Titans.
the Texans. Titans.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know how a
he's-
wide receiver goes to the Titans and feels like
He'll be
that's a
terrible.
good spot for him. So, I mean, they got rid of A.J. Brown, the one good guy they actually had.
Yeah.
Because he could do other things.
And he seems like a guy, too, because Tannehill's he's just an average quarterback, but he seems like the kind of guy that, I'm nicked up this week. I don't think I can go. I'm getting paid $15 million, but I don't know. We're playing. We're playing the Chiefs.
Well, quarterback play is so important. That's why I don't like the Colts, and
No.
I don't really like the Titans. I think the Texans, are up and coming.
Well, the Richardson kid.
And then obviously Trevor Lawrence is now kind of arrived on the scene as being a serious quarterback and in the top 10 to 5 guys now. So we'll see if he could keep it going and take no steps back. So I think it's the Jags division to lose, as do you guys. All right, let's go down to, oh boy, it doesn't get much worse than this one. The NFC South. We're starting you off easy here, folks, and work up to the better teams.
It was better than the AFC.
But
I mean, last year.
yeah, no, it was, but that, yeah, I mean,
Three teams were 7-10.
But I got to ask you guys this: I am hearing nothing but accolades and praise of the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm shocked by it.
You
Like
don't
I'm
like
hearing
it.
guys giving out. I heard a guy give out that they think the Falcons could lead the NFL in wins this year. Their posted win totals 8.5. I know the division stinks. But I could not find more than 3 wins on this team's schedule. Chris, you seem like you're disagreement
they're
here.
Going over.
So tell me what exactly my confusion is. They have 0 in the quarterback position. I'm just surprised by people picking
He's the
him.
only returning quarterback in that division. How about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I know.
That's amazing.
It is.
And
It
how
is.
many games did he even play?
Yeah.
Not
He
very
played-
many.
No, he didn't. But they got a shit ton of offensive weapons. But I guess they're only good if the quarterback's
do you
good.
feel confident in Ritter?
He's all right.
I
know-
thought he was awful in college. Again, I thought that game against Alabama in the semifinal that one year pretty much showed.
Well, they
what
lost
he
a
was.
lot of close games. They were in just about every game. I looked at their schedule. I have them, believe it or not, I have them winning 10 games. I don't think their schedule's that tough. I mean,
Wow.
Oh, jeez, that's awesome. No, I love this diversity.
No,
this is
I
great.
mean,
10 plus wins from Chris. God, you could get an adjusted win total of 9.5, Chris. That's better go lay
Chris,
down.
I'm with you. I'm not 10 wins, but I like them over their total. I do.
Okay.
And I think they win that division.
Woo-hoo.
I do too.
I think the Falcons
Okay.
win the division.
Yep.
Plus,
This
I
is
love
what-
their uniforms.
This is what makes the NFL great.
What about your uniform?
I love their
Oh,
uniforms.
they're tremendous.
I have the Falcons, one of my best bets to miss the playoffs at plus 105, and Desmond Ritter to lead the NFL in interceptions.
Oh, good. That'll make
28 to
for-
1.
That'll make fun for
Yeah,
Sundays
we'll be-
Yes,
at the
right.
Vets.
All right, let's move on to the Carolina Panthers. Total 7.5 wins. Frank Reich, a big X for me as far as coaching goes. I will give you guys the credit. I think that Arthur Smith guy actually did a decent job with what he had last year. So I'll give them a mark up in the coaching department, the Falcons. All right, Panthers. Coach, thoughts on this team? 7.5
Man,
wins.
what a change in their roster, huh? I mean, look
Yes.
at Bryce Young at quarterback, picked up Adam Thielen, Miles Sanders
Yeah.
there. Jeez,
Yep.
I mean, they picked up some weapons.
I like
mean, they could be better than people think. I mean, I think they could be.
Yep.
They could be right there.
I'm leaning over the 7.5 for them.
I would lean over the 7.5 also.
Chris?
I have it going over as well. I have them pegged for 8 wins, and so again, we'll see how the rookie quarterback does.
Yeah, so far, really good reports on it. And it's just, who really reads a whole lot of stock into that? But I think Bryce Young will be okay. And if they can keep him clean and
He's
give
small,
him some-
right? Yeah.
Smaller. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm a little bit high on Carolina. Not super high, but I think they could be a contender to win that division. All right, the Saints. People were kind of high on them as well. 9.5 is the win total.
I do like Derek Carr.
Very high.
I liked him at Oakland, and I like him.
I think he might fit well here.
Well, he picked up. Martin didn't pick up, but they say Michael Thomas looks as good as he has.
And they got Chris Olave, who I'm very high on as well. I think Chris Olave over 5.5 touchdowns is a bet that I really like.
Who did they pick up to fill in for?
Well, they drafted the Keandre Miller from TCU, and then they signed somebody else, another running back.
Yeah, they just signed somebody.
Well, no, they didn't. They almost did, and then Kareem Hunt ended up going to the Colts last minute. He was going to go there, but they did get it. They added another running back, and I'm trying to think who it was.
Jamal Williams.
From the Lions, who's just a touchdown vulture.
Yeah.
All right. So as far as win total goes, Coach, 9.5 seems a little high.
That's the high. That's going to be. I
think they win 8 or 9. Probably.
That's going to be right on. That's going to be really.
Chris,
really
what do you
close.
think about the Saints?
I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. I have them under. I think their coach is a buffoon, Dennis Allen.
I don't disagree with that.
15-38 in like 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And I'm not sold on Derek Carr like coach is. I mean, I think he's.
Oh, I like him.
He's adequate. But he does have 2 really, really good receivers. If Michael Thomas is right and he's healthy.
Yeah.
But I have him winning 8 and finishing 3rd in the division. So I'm going to go under.
All right. And then Coley's Bucks. Ugh. The woe is me Bucks, 6.5.
That's
possibly the worst team in the NFL. There was only one win that I can find for them that I was certain that they would win, and that's the game number week 2 against the Bears.
Yeah.
6.5 is way too high. This should be more like 3 or 4.5.
definite under.
I'm confused about about that number. I did not see how because if you're in the belief that this division stinks, there's probably at least one team that's going to rise to the top here. So I found it hard to find that you could possibly have 7 wins for Tampa in any capacity.
No way.
Their schedule's not easy.
You don't think Baker's going to lead them to the promised land?
God, no.
They don't even know if he's going to start. They said the other guy.
Maybe they'll bring back Manziel.
Trask.
Johnny Manziel.
Yeah,
He's
don't
available.
like them, Matt.
Yeah, no. I
finished last in that division easily.
Yes, I don't see any way around that. I thought maybe 2 wins. There was only 1 win that I could actually say that they'll win for sure. But yeah. All right, so let's go back. Let's revisit best bets. I think I had several here. I think I had 3 best bets for me in this division.
Well, no, the one we
missed the playoffs on Atlanta and Ritter to lead the league in interceptions. That's going to be a small bet, 28-1. And then my top one was really Chris Olave over 5.5 receiving touchdowns. I think that's a absolutely great bet. So jump on that, Coach. What were your go-tos here?
Atlanta over their total wins. We got a total different.
Okay, and Chris too. Is that your best bet?
No,
Atlanta.
No, my best bet's Tampa under. I think.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably a good move. That's probably pretty safe.
Dreadful.
I mean, how in the hell do they win 6 games or
think.
7 to get over?
What do you think, Jarrett? They going to be bad?
The Bucks, yes, they'll be.
Cooley might.
Yeah.
Cooley knows they.
I
suck.
was gonna say maybe they won't be, but yeah, they'll be.
He might have all his Tampa gear packed away.
Yeah, he's gonna take a break this year.
Get ready for the heat.
I just thought that was funny earlier in the preseason of those OTAs or whatever. I sent Cooley that little video, and it just Baker Mayfield. He just took a snap, like 2-step drop, and just threw it to the tight end about maybe 10 yards, like 8 feet over his head. And it's like that's just
Mayfield. They'll be bad.
And you know, and Mike Evans is getting old. And he's just not a good quarterback.
I found it interesting too that the Falcons are taking all this steam. All these people were giving them out, but they were still the second choice. The Saints are actually plus 125 to win the division, followed by the Falcons at plus 240. The Panthers at plus 310, and then the Bucks is plus 750. Do you guys think the Falcons can pull it off, and win the division? I'm assuming you do. You guys are both pretty high.
I have them first.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
I do.
I'm going
Yeah, I didn't think the Falcons were that bad last year. I just thought Mariota just lost. He just completely lost
I think
it.
they downgraded quarterback though. I think this Ritter got so bad. I mean, I don't know. I didn't see much out of it. Yeah. All right. Well, that's why we're here.
Yep.
We're talking about these things. You at home get to make the choice on this, whether you want to agree with me, Coach Chris, or none of us.
If he falters, talking about Ritter, then they got to turn to Taylor Heineke.
Oh, that'd be great.
Wow.
Well, he's been okay. All right, we're going to take a quick break here, be back, talk racing, and get Sam's picks on these divisions and conferences in football. It's Bettor's Last Stand. We'll be right back.
Reminder, Bettor's Last Stand is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activity should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. You're watching Bettor's Last Stand.
All right, welcome back in Bettor's Last Stand. Joined by Sam now in our final segment of the program. Sam, welcome to the show. As you can see, we got Coach and Chris back with us. Pirates give one away last night. How's Steeler training camp going for you? I guess that's what you're focused on right now.
No, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I can't hide it. The Bucs are my number one, and I'm not embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed to say it. It is. It's getting there.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I'll get to Steelers training camp first. I'll get that out of the way. It's all you hear. This is offensive lineman. It's all you hear.
Yeah. When the Penguins get Eric Carlson, so that was a good week for us.
Yeah, $14 million cap dollars now freed up. Give it to Eric.
Yeah, why not? Help the power play out.
Yeah.
All right, before we get into racing, I wanted to get your thoughts on a couple of the conferences that we previewed in football. Coach Chris and I went through some of our best bets. Let's start with the college conferences, the ACC and the SEC. Anybody out of those two conferences that intrigue you at all, whether it's good or bad?
I think the ACC, I mean, it's definitely Clemson.
Yeah.
But
Coach said Florida State, though.
I know. They had a good year, but something I kept looking at Duke. I have no clue why I kept looking at Duke, but they just kept poking me every time I was looking at them. I don't know what it was. I think they're gonna have a pretty good year. What does that mean in the ACC?
Okay. Well, good. We're looking for an outside opinion.
I think Pitt's gonna be bad.
I agree with that. I think they suck.
It's gonna be bad. I cannot wait for Narduzzi to eat shit.
Me too. Yeah. What about the SEC?
Georgia or Bama.
Yeah. What about LSU? Do you have any thoughts on them? They're like the close third pick. They're starting to take some steam, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I know they're very, very talented. In any other, conference, they're number one. But
right.
Georgia and Alabama are just so good.
Yeah.
The talent they get year over year over year. Like, their second and third stringers could most likely compete easily with LSU's starters.
Yeah.
So I just think it's Georgia or Alabama.
Yeah, and Georgia's schedule came up entirely too easy for a defending national champion. Maybe the easiest schedule in the history of football. So I don't think there's any way they're not making the playoff at least.
Hey Sam, do you think it's easier? It would be easier to root for LSU if they had a different head coach. Or are you a Brian Kelly? You're not a Kelly fan, are you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think he's a
Don't
preferred,
even get me started.
But they're good though. They're going to be good.
They are going to be good, and he just he backs it up. I can't doubt him as a coach because he said what he was going to do, and
yeah,
they are again.
I think they'll be tough too, and I think more to come from them. If it's not this year, I think they'll be up there contending with the big two here before too long. All right, let's go over to NFL. Two really great divisions here. The AFC South and the NFC South are what we previewed today. Thoughts on the AFC South? Who's your most likely winner in that division, and is there a sleeper team that you like?
We'll see if he matches up with me and Coach.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking a sleeper team. A lot of young QBs in this division.
Yeah.
I think it's the Jag division pretty easily.
Yes.
But something about the Colts win total. I think the Colts fucking stink.
I agree.
Yes,
I do.
I agree.
I think the Colts stink, and I don't think that's Richardson's fault. I think he's going to be all right, but I think Jim Irsay's a bad owner. I think that
Yes.
whole culture's fucked up. This Jonathan Taylor thing is weird.
Yeah,
It's so weird.
Yeah.
And that comment he made when he was out there on that cart, like, dude, you should have just kept your mouth shut. You cannot say that as the owner.
Irsay's a
So,
moron.
Colts win total.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Good.
Easy.
Good. We like that. All right. How about switching over to the NFC South? These guys very high on Atlanta. I'm not so much. Where do you come down in the NFC South?
It lies with the former Steelers minority owner in Tepper. I think the Panthers are. I think they're good. I think they're going to be good on paper. They're good. I mean, rookie QB, something.
Yep.
He was so good. Leaving school. Obviously, he was the first pick, but
I agree.
I think they're going to be good. But something about Derek Carr. And he keeps bringing in John Gruden. I don't know if you've seen those little articles that John Gruden was at this practice or John Gruden was at that practice. I don't know if that's going to make him any better, but his best seasons were with John Gruden.
Yeah.
So if that means anything, where there's smoke, there's fire. But Derek Carr also cries.
He does, but maybe he'll be improved for the Saints. Coach lean towards Derek Carr as a potential.
I like Derek Carr.
Upgrade for
you would
for the
want
Saints.
him leading your team, Coach?
Yes.
You want Derek Carr leading your team?
Yes, absolutely. And I like him. I liked him as a fantasy player too because they were always behind.
Yeah, and he threw every play.
Every play, I loved
Like
it.
Blake Bortles.
I already did that.
Yeah. All right, Sam. Let's jump over to racing. The F1 boys are off again this week on summer break. We return back to the Dutch Grand Prix on August the 27th. And last week we have a little bit of an upset, a little under the radar winner in Nashville in IndyCar as Kyle Kirkwood wins at 9-1. They head to Indianapolis for the road course. Both NASCAR and IndyCar are in Indianapolis on the road course this weekend, so that should be pretty exciting. But first, let me get your thoughts on last week's win by Kirkwood in Nashville.
I think the results speak for themselves of why I'm so high on IndyCar because Kyle Kirkwood being a winner, I didn't expect it would happen this year. I thought he was good, but
right.
I mean, he was awesome, man. And to hold off the drivers that were behind him, and I mean, Pelot's just keep padding his stats for this lead, but I thought it was an awesome race. Yeah,
Pelot now about 84 points ahead of Newgarden in the championship race. It's been pretty dominant. He's got like 7 top 3s in the last 9, which is crazy. So for Kirkwood to be able to hold off, like you said, him and some of the other guys last week's pretty strong. I mean, that's a pretty good showing for the sport as a whole, for the just the parity that's there. Even though you have Pelot with a very good lead in the championship, you still got a lot of different winners so far this year.
Yeah, and I think this next race is going to be very, very, very good. I think Indy's got a lot Saturday, Sunday to prove.
Yeah, it should be very good. Hopefully the weather turns out to be decent. Before I get your thoughts on the Gallagher Grand Prix, I was looking through these guys, and they haven't even actually posted odds at most of the places yet. You may be able to see them right now, but when I left work, we didn't have them up yet. Will Power was a guy that I kept coming back to. I think that he could be the guy this week that gets it done, but also thought Scott McLaughlin was really an intriguing look as well. Who are your top plays, and do either of those guys interest you?
Yeah, both of those names are highlighted here. I mean, Will Power's won this race, I'd say, at least I saw 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
So, and he always runs well. He just has those weekends where his car's very good. And then, he has his weekend where he's just average. But McLaughlin was 4th here in 2022. He was just 2nd in Nashville. He's been having better races. He needs to.
Yep.
He is that talented. So
he's improved a lot since
2 names, but
we were pretty hard on him at the beginning of the season because you were very high on him in the season preview, and then he did not get out of the gate very strong. But I agree, he's come alive quite a bit in the last several weeks.
Yeah, and I could see a Rosenquist running pretty well here. He has had some pretty solid top 10 finishes. And I think, honestly, like these names, like these Lundgaards, these Kirkwoods, just keep an eye on them because I don't think it's a fluke that they're running this well.
Yeah, and Lundgaard was 2nd here last year, So that could be an indication. And then Alexander Rossi actually won this race last year, surprisingly.
I know, Matt, and that just fucks me up when I'm trying to figure this out because sometimes he just stinks, and sometimes he's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I have any faith that he could win again, but we'll see.
I don't. It's not even on my paper.
How about Pato O'Ward? He's been on a roll.
Oh, yeah.
6 consecutive top sixes. But he just can't seem to get over the hump to win. I can't really recommend him as a win bet, but do you think he can run in the top 5 or 6 here this weekend in Indy?
Yeah, Matt, he's turning into our IndyCar Ryan Blaney.
Right.
You know,
Just always
strong finish,
grinds
never
out a
win.
decent finish, but never wins.
Yeah, I think
Good comparison.
A good finish is definitely. Yeah, I think a good finish is for sure in the books, but. McLaren, they need something.
Yeah.
They need something on all fronts.
Yeah, right. Hopefully they're working on the F1 program right now as we speak. All right, so who wins it at the road course in Indianapolis? I'm going with Will Power. What do you say?
Scott McLaughlin.
Okay, that's your guy. That's a good
That's
pick.
my guy.
All right, I like it. So you like Lundgaard a little bit, Will Power a little bit. Yep, no, that makes sense. Rosenquist as well. So. But Sam will go with Scott McLaughlin. I'm going to go with Will Power. So hopefully one of those guys can cash a ticket for us. All right, let's go to the stock cars. They'll be running on the same track. A little bit different setup, obviously, but should be an exciting weekend. All right, so you obviously have your road racers who are specialists. You got Tyler Reddick's the defending champion here. This top 5 last year was quite interesting. You had Harrison Burton, Todd Gilliland, Bubba Wallace, all in the top 5 last year at the Indianapolis Brickyard Road Course. I don't expect all those guys to be in there again this year. I really, really like the guy that finished second, and he's going to be my top pick in this race, and that's Austin Cindric. I think he's a great road racer. Thought he ran awesome in this race last year and probably had a car good enough to win if it weren't for Tyler Reddick. He's about 28 to 30 to 1. Thoughts on Austin Cindric, and who are some of your top guys this weekend in Indianapolis?
Yeah, I have Austin Cindric written here. I also have the names of like the Van Gisbergens, the Jensen
Right.
Button that's in it,
Right.
this Brody Kostecki.
What do you know
also a
about this
supercar.
Kobayashi guy?
I can't lie, I don't know. He's
Me
he's
either.
running for who? Richard Childress?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know much about him. Honestly, I don't even know what he races in. I don't know if it's IMSA or if it's.
I don't know much about him either, but he's 70 to 1. You have this guy, Mike Rockenfeller. I don't know much about him either.
He's Noah's replacement.
Yeah, and
He's an IMSA driver.
Yeah.
He's driven a lot.
and then what? Brody Kostecki, he's
Yeah.
18 to 1, definitely not
He's
without
pretty
a shot.
good, though.
Yeah,
He's pretty good. He has like 90 career like supercar starts, 17 podiums and 3 wins, which it's a pretty tough circuit and you know thing to be driving in. So
do you think with Van Gisbergen winning back at Chicago a few weeks ago, people are just dying for that next guy to break through, and people are going to overbet these drivers? I would say it's very unlikely that one of these off-circuit guys wins this race. What do you think?
I agree.
I think it's tough, but I do think that one of them is going to run very well.
Right. I agree. I think they could all run in the top 10, but I just don't being able to win. Coach, you agree?
I agree. I don't think Van Gisbergen will repeat like he did in Chicago.
He
I
had
think
everything lined perfect.
Yeah, he did.
And go ahead, Coach.
No, go ahead.
This track is so much different.
It's
than
different
Chicago.
in the road. Yes.
That turn 1, they could just get put out of position on
Right.
that first
I
starter,
don't-
any restart or any caution.
Yes.
So-
I honestly, I am going to fade Van Gisbergen.
Okay.
And because I always play matchups, and I'm fading him. I know people behind him. I like AJ Allmendinger. I think he'll run.
Yep.
I think he'll really run well. And I'm with you guys on Austin Cindric. I like him. I like Chris Buescher. That's
he's been riding hot.
Yes,
Jeez.
he's riding hot.
It's hard to go
ridiculous.
against that whole team right now.
know.
The Roush Fenway Keselowski. Keselowski, not always great on road courses, but I think that RFK team is definitely worth using in all the matchups. I think they're going to be strong. Sam, what do you think about them?
Yeah, definitely. I have 2 names here. I have an Eric Jones
Yeah.
top 10,
Yeah.
and also a Christopher Bell. I think he could get up into the top 5.
Yes.
I think Bell can run very well here.
I agree with that. I had Bell as my second pick behind Cindric, and I think I'm very curious on both of your guys and Chris, you. Thoughts on Chase Elliott? Is he going to get a win again in this playoff?
Nope.
His whole season, I think just whenever
just
that
one of
was.
those years for him.
And what was that, like week after the second week he
They got
his ankle
suspended.
and, it's been an awful year. So I would definitely bet against him.
Okay, and he's a great road racer. Just plus 750, 7 to 1, 7.5 to 1. Sam, what do you say about Chase? You think he's done?
Yeah, it's like we've been saying. I just think the year has been weird. It's one of those it's like for example, you have the Hendrick team is great. You have a team full of great players, but you just can't put it together that year.
Right. How about your boy Ty Gibbs? What do you see out of him this weekend?
He's a pretty solid road racer. He just needs to, I don't know, I'd say top 10, top 15 to still have any hope, I would say.
Yeah, and he's capable of doing it because I think he'll run solidly here. Two guys I thought that were a little bit mispriced that I thought were worth taking a shot on. I thought Denny Hamlin on a road course at 20 to 1. I was a little surprised at that number. I thought, and he's been running pretty well. Another good performance from him this weekend. I thought that was worth a shot at 20 to 1. And then Justin Haley at 100 to 1. He's a sneaky, decent road racer, and I would definitely take a shot with him. He finished, I think, maybe 13th or so here last year. So what do you think about those two guys?
Yeah, the Haley one I love. I really do. I really like that one. And Denny's been hot all year. He's probably the most consistent driver.
Yeah.
I'd say, I don't know, less than a little bit before the All-Star break on.
Sure. Yeah, I'd say him
He's
and
just been
maybe Truax
awesome.
has been pretty good too. But yeah, no, I agree with that. All right, your picks. Let's go. We'll go around the room. Start with Sam. Your pick to win it.
I'm alongside you. I am
Cinder?
Team Austin Cindric. Yes.
All right. Coach.
To win it, we're gonna pick to win it.
Yeah, or you could give your favorite, but we always just throw a winner out, just even if you don't.
Okay, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna say Kyle Busch is gonna win.
All right.
All right. That's my guy to win it all the whole year. So.
Okay.
Chris.
Daniel Suarez.
Oh, all right.
Wow,
I like it.
He needs it, and he needs it, Chris.
All right.
Well, I just gave him the kiss of death then.
No.
Yeah, he'll blow a gearbox in the first turn probably. All right, Jarrett, how about you? You got a winner in NASCAR?
Is Allmendinger racing?
Yes.
I'll take Allmendinger.
I gave him as one
Jarrett,
of my sleepers.
you got a good chance of winning it, buddy.
Hey,
I'm
he's
going
a road
Allmendinger.
racing specialist,
You really
man.
do.
He's got a great chance.
I haven't watched NASCAR at all this year. So
Jared,
I'm out of
here's your
I'm out of it.
homework. You got to find out what the AJ stands for in AJ Allmendinger.
Andrew Johnson.
The president.
Do you know what it is, Mark?
17.
I do not.
Okay, I don't either.
Yeah. All right, Sam. Before we let you run, any thoughts on baseball as we talk every week here? The good, the bad, and the ugly. Give us a little insight of teams you think are a mess and teams you think are still in the hunt.
You know what? It's funny today because I was gonna send a group text and I was like, no, I'll tell Matt on Bettor's Last Stand. I didn't know he was gonna be here. Jarrett, I'm thrilled that you're here. I think that we all, the Pirates, they're done. They're not making the playoffs. They stink. Matt, is your team going forward? Are we going? You're the Orioles.
Yeah, but
Jarrett,
last night was
you're the
bad.
Marlins?
I'm the Marlins.
Last night was a bad loss for the Orioles. That was a really bad loss. They
Horrible loss.
They just can't lose that game.
With Felix on the mound.
And yeah, he was
They
not
were their
used to
announcer.
being that big of a lead. I feel like it messed him up. But lead off walk, it gets you every fucking time. It really does.
Always.
I don't know. Anybody else? Sam, what about let's just stay with the NL Central. Stay close to home. Each week we ask you, Cubbies, Reds, or Brewers?
I think it's the Reds.
Okay.
You got
Coach
some
and I
good
are on the
pitching.
Cubs. Chris is indifferent. He
Yeah,
doesn't
I
know.
think I might hop on the Cubs with you guys. They're playing. They're hot. I don't want to see the Reds win. I hate the Reds so much. I hate Ellie De La Cruz.
When the hell? Jesus Christ, why you hate him already?
Well, it's gonna
Friday.
because he knows the Pirates are gonna have to deal with him for the next
he'll hit one
15
into the river.
years.
He'll
got
hit one
our
into the
own
river
crew.
tomorrow
Hey,
Friday.
Sam, I gotta bring this up though. This falls in the negative category for you. Ever since you put that Angels hat on this show,
Oh my God, I have haven't put it on since.
They've won one time.
I'm the fucking curse.
Yeah, you might be. You cursed
I should put on a
Ohtani.
Reds hat. That's what I should do.
Maybe Ohtani will end up in Pittsburgh now. But hey, I did hear something interesting. Chris, you might have heard it today too, Sam, on Double M's show. He's hearing that the Pirates are going to spend even less money next year. He said he's got really good sources that say since that TV contract fell through, that nutting is going to be even tighter, and that the 2024 being the year is going to be a fraud. It is all just fake.
That's exactly why I don't get worked up.
Yeah, because next year was supposed to be the year,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Year 5.
Sam, what do you think about that?
Well, here's what I think. I actually don't care because I cared so much earlier in the year when we were good, and it all ended up in the same place that
we always do.
There it is.
Life. So
Yep.
it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like I love baseball. I love the Pirates, but you know.
Yeah.
I will not be shocked at all. I will not be mad. It's just like,
Yeah, it is.
You
It is
expect
what
it.
it is. Hey, Paul Skeens is making his professional debut tomorrow for the FCL Pirates.
I'm
so
surprised
that's
you
exciting.
guys aren't going down.
What's the FCL Pirates?
The Florida Coast League. They're like low A. So
What are they
This
gonna
is
do?
as big as Chris Archer right here.
huge.
Yeah.
All
why
right.
is he pitching low A?
Nah, they got to get him some confidence early, I guess.
bet he's on a pitch count, maybe 30.
Yeah, probably 30. Oh,
15.
that'll be good. All right, Sam, thanks as
Great
always
job,
for
Sam.
joining us. Great analysis. We will talk to you this weekend.
See you,
Best of
Sam.
luck with the bets, and go Pirates.
Yeah, it was good talking to you, fellas. Go
See you,
Bucks.
Sammy.
All right, Sam.
See you.
All right, that'll do it for us here on Bettor's Last Stand. Thanks to Jarrett for holding down the fort for us. Be sure and join us on the Watchdog 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday for one more week. Actually, it's probably we're ending right now, probably as you're listening to this. And we'll be on Fridays, our football show. Don't forget about that. If you have questions, comments, observations, call us on the Watchdog Network, 304-214-1600, or email us, contact at the Pine Room Podcast, BLS_PRP at the Pine Room Studios on social. All the picks will be up. I'll put these guys' best bets for the divisions. We appreciate Coach and Chris for taking the time to join us today. Best of luck to everybody over the weekend in their bets, and football season's here. Hope everybody's ready for it. We'll be back next week with more winners here on Bettor's Last Stand.